Welcome in to a very special boxing scene here on ProBox TV. If you can't tell by the background, we're outside Stockton, California, the Chicken Ranch Casino. ProBox TV, a huge card tomorrow. But this boxing scene is about boxing news. Jimmy Smith alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi. Also in studio, the man with the news, J-Rod. And there's some big boxing news just breaking now. J-Rod, tell us what it is.
What's up, fellas? Yeah, I'll tell you what. The card of the century may be minus one fight. Let's take a look at some headlines. Well, Floyd Schofield is out against Shakur Stevenson. Let's bring in Boxingscene senior writer Lance Bunkmeyer. Lance, you've got the deal. Fellas, what is going on with Shakur, Floyd Schofield, poisoning, lawyers, mayhem?
Yeah, you know what? It actually all took place this morning in Saudi Arabia when Floyd Schofield failed to show up for the grand arrivals, and there was a lot of concern about where he was and speculation about what was going on. Turns out his father, Floyd Sr., ended up putting out some posts on X saying that Floyd Jr. had been poisoned and alleged that a masseuse, perhaps connected to Shakur Stevenson, had wiped some cream on Floyd that had made him fall ill and basically left him unfit to fight. And then hours later, it's been announced through Ring Magazine, basically it's owned by Turki Al-Sheikh, that the Floyd Field is off the fight, and now they are looking for a replacement for Shakur Stevenson on Saturday.
But that is a huge accusation, Lance, like defamation, a lot of things to go along with that. You poisoned a potential opponent. How seriously can you take this accusation?
Well, you know, great question, Jimmy. The post was immediately taken down by Floyd Sr., and it was met by a very rapid response by Shakur Stevenson's manager and attorney, Josh Dubois, who told me, he said, this fighter, talking about Schofield, should get advised on the defamation laws in our country. Saying that he was poisoned will not go unrecognized, and Schofield is being put on notice right now to basically come clean and apologize and say this was not the case, because Dubin says this looks like nothing more than some type of angling to try to get out of the fight.
Lance, you know, now that you've spoken to Josh and he gave you this response, what happens going forward here? What happens with the rest of the week for Shakur Stevenson?
Yeah, right now I've been told that they are looking for a replacement opponent. It's actually 2 or 3 in the morning now in Saudi Arabia, so I think that that effort is going to require a few hours of waiting. But they're looking for someone to jump in. I know that the opponent, Giovanni Cabrera, who has fought both Pitbull Cruz and William Cepeda, has thrown his hat in the ring actually on social media. So that's one candidate could look at. And obviously, I know with Queensberry being the lead promoter on this fight, they're going to go and look at their own roster. And third, as you know, there's so many different promotions connected to this Saturday card. They can compare notes with everyone to see who's available.
Lance, you know, how snake-bitten was this matchup from the start? Because it seemed like even Shakur Stevenson himself alluded to this in an interview that he had done with Andre Ward, saying, I don't know if this guy's actually going to show up to fight. There's been other people around the sport and around this fight saying, like, I don't think this guy's going to show up. Was this fight realistic at any point?
I mean, look, they put it on the schedule, and the guy showed up in Saudi Arabia. Not that it was going to happen. But you're absolutely right, Chris. I mean, look, the kid is so young, just 22 years old. I think that all of us who were looking ahead to this fight had a pretty strong sense that Shakur was going to pick him apart. And, you know, now these things have happened. Shakur actually said when Schofield didn't show up at that news conference that they had previous to this that I don't think this guy's going to fight. So now these pieces have crumbled, and Shakur is left to find another opponent. For Shakur, as he starts his union with Matchroom, you know, he was looking to move past this disappointing performances, or at least the disappointing, people watching those fights or not watching those fights that he had to close his top-rank contract. He wanted something exciting, and this was going to be something close to that, because at least this kid Schofield was a very exciting prospect. Now they're looking for a replacement opponent, and it looks like Shakur with a victory can maybe get headed to the big fight next time out against someone like William Zepeda.
Yeah, amazing
well, Lance, thank you so
stuff.
much for all the information. I know you're dealing with everything that's going on as it happens, but the idea that as it breaks, you'll find out right here on Boxing Scene. Lance, thanks so much for your time.
Anytime, guys. Thanks.
J-Rod, obviously that's the biggest news right now in boxing. What else is going on that we need to talk about? Because that's huge, but that's a big question mark. What else is on the docket?
Well, the show must go on, fellas. And thankfully, the main event, Beterbiev against Bivol 2, is very much alive and well. And listen, we saw Beterbiev win a very controversial majority decision back in October to become undisputed champion. And over at boxingscene.com, there's a great article where Bivol says he aims to eliminate doubt against Artur Beterbiev in the rematch. Fellas, talk to me about this fight. Adjustments, what are we going to see Saturday in the desert?
That's the thing, right, Jimmy? I mean, the thing about adjustments is, do you make too many adjustments against such a big puncher and risk getting yourself knocked out? I personally, think that Bivol did very well in the first fight. I personally think he won the first fight. So does that mean you fight the same fight again and then expect to get the decision this time? And if you do make adjustments, what adjustments do you make without putting yourself too much at risk? Because here's my mentality, my mentality. If you change too much and take too many risks and you get knocked out, it's better to get robbed than get knocked out, because at least when you get robbed, people are going to say, hey, you know what? You deserve that fight. They want to see you again. If you get knocked out, there's an exclamation point. You lost. It's done. You got to move past you. So it's a lot of decision-making here with Bivol as far as the tactics he's going to employ in this fight.
What I am curious about, honestly, is the winner fights the same fight twice, right? They did the right thing. They do it again. Bivol was kind of the winner. How much, Paul? That's a great point. How much does he change?
I don't want to take Chris's spot here, but I got to say this because I had a rematch situation with Juan Diaz early in my career, and I felt I won the first fight, and I didn't get the decision. You know what my game plan was for the rematch? Fight the same exact fight, because I know I won the first fight. There's no way they're going to take it from me again, and that's what I did. I fought the same exact fight in the rematch, and I won the rematch. There's some decision-making there, though, because you got to wonder. You can be robbed twice. Who knows? You're going back to the place where you got robbed last time. So,
Yeah, but Champ, you got to think there's two ways to think about it. Yes, 100%. You go out there, you do what you did the first time, you thought you won, and for all intents and purposes, he fought a really smart fight to Dmitry Bivol, and I thought he won as well. We watched it live together. We both thought that he was comfortably ahead, and I think most of the boxing world actually did think he won the fight. But listen, like you said, he got robbed there. It's hard for you to go out there and be like, to trust the process, do the same thing, and then get robbed again. You saying getting knocked out is worse? I don't know. Getting robbed twice is really bad. I say go for it.
You stay in the picture. You stay in the picture, champ. And the reason
I don't think Bivol cares. I don't think he thinks ahead like that. He's thinking about what's right in front of him, and that is beating.
But fighting your best fight is your best bet. It's fighting your best fight the way Bivol fought the first fight. I thought it was. That's the thing. And the
issue is Bivol has to do more in this fight because he's got to prove once again to the judges the way they're going to give it.
I want to say, champ.
Leave no doubt, he said.
In the example I gave, I refused to go back to the place I got robbed. This fight is in the same place this first decision happened.
Right.
So it may play on the mind of Bivol. Hey, man, listen, all the big fights are happening there. So you want to have this big fight, it's going to happen there. You want the rematch or not, you're not going to say no. It's still a fight people are going to really look forward to watching, including us.
But now, listen to this, champ. Now, on the flip side of that coin, there's so many eyes on the fact that a lot of people thought Bivol won. Do they give him more credit now? If he does the exact same fight, does he win it this time? Because everyone's really looking at it being like, well, I thought Bivol deserved the first one, so I'll give him this one.
And then you know what? Riyadh season has a trilogy.
There we go.
But another thing I'm curious about, guys, when you talk about the punching power, of Beterbiev. Bivol's faced already. He's been in there with the boogeyman, ate some good punches, wore them well. You know, we thought he won the fight, but he did eat tough punches from Beterbiev. Is there a mental strength you get from, hey, I've been here before against this boogeyman. He never put me down. Could Bivol be mentally better in this fight? Chris, what do you think?
Honestly, for any other fighter, I would say yes, but Dmitry Bivol, those Eastern European fighters, they have a very different mindset than other guys who are coming up. I don't think Bivol ever looked at Beterbiev as this, epic puncher who's got the touch of God in his hand that is something special. I think he just saw him as another man in front of him. I'm gonna go out there, do what I do, and he did, and I'm gonna get this victory. I don't think he had to overcome those doubts and fears like maybe a lot of other fighters might have. Guys like Callum Smith who went in to fight Beterbiev and looked visibly shaken by the power. So I don't think it's so much a mental thing for Dmitry Bivol to get over it that he's already been to 12 with him. I think he just has to go out there and fight his fight.
And I think, just because you don't get knocked out doesn't mean you don't feel the power. Doesn't mean you don't know the guy can punch. The hardest puncher in my career didn't knock me out, but he's still the hardest puncher I ever fought in my career. So,
Same.
So not being knocked out doesn't necessarily mean you now have more confidence in, that power is not that big. It could still be big. You're just more aware of it because you felt it.
We're all looking forward to the fight. J-Rod, what else you got for us, buddy?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm looking forward is that watch-along we're going to have on ProBox TV. You guys are going to be here. We're going to watch it along. We invite everybody to hang out with us on the ProBox TV YouTube channel as well as the ProBox TV app on Saturday. Rad season here. Turn down the volume, hang out with us, see what the champs and Jimmy got to say. All right, the co-main. Maybe the sexiest words in sports, a fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. The IBF title in play. It's Daniel Dubois against Joseph Parker. And I was curious, fellas, if you look over at Boxingscene, Joseph Parker says, I've got the chin, man. I can put it up there, and I'm not afraid to throw it out there against Dynamite Dubois. Fellas, that good strategy?
First off, I got to throw this immediately to Chris, who has made the statement more than once, no such thing as great chins in heavyweight division. What do you think?
Yeah, it takes one shot. And listen, I mean, Dubois is a massive puncher. And Parker has been in with huge punchers. Absolutely. He's survived them. But we saw him go down against Zhang recently. That chins go away. Not just being a heavyweight.
And also in the heavyweight division, there's no chin.
Exactly. So I mean, I don't like the fact that Parker is alluding to his solid chin is why he's going to win this fight. I think he should allude to the fact that he's on a great run. He's been boxing very, very smart lately. He's got fantastic conditioning. He's got momentum on his side. So I would rather have him said that I'm going to win this fight because I'm better, I'm more experienced, rather than I got the chin to survive.
Cham, you made a great point because I think in the heavyweight division, mindset is the most important thing rather than chin. Let's not forget even Muhammad Ali got dropped by Chuck Wepner, but he got up. It's mindset. You weren't stopping Ali that easily. He was always going to get through it, right? So I think Parker. The question for Parker is not so much the chin. For me, it's the mindset at the age he's got. Are you still you're not old, but you had a long career. Mm-hmm. Are you still willing to go through the fire of a youthful guy like Dubois, who brings a lot of fire, a lot more fire because he's in his youth and he brings that youth energy? That's more the question in my mind. I think Dubois has the practical boxing sense. I mean, not the Dubois. Parker has a practical boxing sense to deal with an intense guy like Dubois, but can he deal with him over the course of time? By the other side, though, let's not forget, there's still a question about Dubois being a front runner. You know what I mean? Dubois is a monster lately after losing to Usyk, but there was still question marks about him being a front runner. Stopped late against Joyce, faded against Usyk. We've seen him get some good wins now, but we've not seen him go to the late stages. So can Parker be the guy to get us to the late stages? And if Parker's mentality, speaking of Parker's mentality, will he have that in his mind? I'm crafty enough to get this guy to the late stages. Mm-hmm. Let's see if he has that energy. We're getting there with Joshua. I felt like Joshua was just coming on and then he got knocked out. So the question mark is still there. The jig is not up, but the question is still there.
We talk about momentum in the heavyweight division. Dubois, though, coming off the best fight of his career over Anthony Joshua. I know this isn't football, but what do you think about momentum? Paulie, it's got to be on Dubois' side.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Parker's coming in with good momentum too. It's just not as loud. It's
not as loud,
but Dubois certainly is the man of the hour, and I think he's going to be riding that, and I think rightfully so. He deserves the credit he's been getting lately. But this is still an interesting fight. My question is again the mentality of Parker, because the energy of Dubois shows that his mentality is going to be there. He's young, and when you're young, your mentality's there. If Parker has the right mentality to deal with that early onslaught of Dubois and get it late, I think it could get interesting. It'll answer some questions about both guys.
This is a conversation we were having over a meal today, Chris, about athletes who put it all together at a certain time and are truly great. Is Dubois right now coming together as an athlete that's truly great? What's your thought?
I think they're both putting it together in terms of their careers and where they're at. Both these guys have been inconsistent at times, but just recently, both have been the most consistent they've ever been in their career. Is it the idea that, as you said, they're putting it all together, finally the pieces are falling into place, and now they're going to be that guy? Or have they just had a good, quote-unquote, lucky run, and things might fall out again and be inconsistent? So for me, the question about this fight is consistency of both these guys. Which guy is going to show up the guy that he's been lately?
J-Rod, it's like your jacket, right? When it's on, it's on. This is the J-Rod jacket version of heavyweight fights.
I tell you, man, there is some Cinderella Man action going on with Parker and Dubois. And I was curious, fellas, on betonline.ag, Dubois almost a 3-1 favorite in this fight. Interesting. We'll see what the better side has to say. Hey, another fight, another title fight. The middleweight championship is on the line, the WBC 160 strap. It's Carlos Adames taking on Hamza Shiraz. And interesting on Boxingscene, Shiraz a little bit upset, feels that he's being dismissed by Carlos Adames. And something else, fellas, to put in your thinking cap, Carlos Adames is the champ, and he's the underdog at BetOnline AG on this fight.
Yeah, both of those things. A storied weight class, the middleweight division. What do you think of that idea of disrespect, not only between the two fighters, but in the odds as well, the champ being the underdog?
I like the bad blood. I like the intensity building up here. You know, I think it can be said for both guys what Shiraz is talking about. Shiraz may be being dismissed a little bit, but Adames is also a guy who's been dismissed for most of his career. Was always better than he got credit for. And I think for that reason, Adames wants Shiraz to feel what he felt. You know, for me, Adames is the best of the middleweight champions. And yet, Shiraz is so good that I think he probably wins this fight. But that doesn't mean that. But here's what it does mean. It raises the possibility that Shiraz may not get the credit he deserves for beating Adames. This is not an easy fight. And people never really gave Adames the credit he deserved. So I think maybe he's dismissing Shiraz on purpose. He's probably trying to say, hey, this is my time to get my credit. I don't want guys talking about this guy who's coming in favored over me. But this is a tough fight. It's a tough fight for both guys. But there's a risk factor in there as well, and the psychology only adds to it.
What do you think about the star power of the winner at 160? We talked about this being a marquee division in the history of boxing, a little bit kind of in the background the last couple of years. What do you think the winner? What do you think it's going to take for the winner to shine as a star?
Well, listen, in terms of Hamza Shiraz, I think he's the future. The question is the future now? That's really what it is. Because I think this fight happens in a few more fights in Hamza's career. He gets a little more experience on him. I go Shiraz all day long. And I agree with you, champ. He still might win this fight. But it's a very, very tough fight for both these guys. Carlos Adames is excellent.
The shame is he won't get the credit he deserves for this.
No, because they'll say something.
And even Adames won't get the credit he deserves to be Shiraz, because Shiraz isn't on the record yet.
But
it's kind of a shame both ways.
Jimmy, to your point, Carlos Adames isn't a star. I don't think he ever will be. He doesn't really have that star quality. He's an excellent, excellent fighter and a deserved champion. Shiraz truly can be a star. I think he's got it all, and I've said that for a while now. I actually was DMing this guy a couple years ago when I saw him come up. I think he's got everything you need to be a star, but man, he's got to get through Adames, and that's no easy task.
I love this fight. I really like it.
I can't believe this fight get made.
This is a true boxing fan's fight, because it's one of those fights that casuals won't really recognize or understand. But if you're a true boxing fan, you know how good these guys are. You know what a good matchup this is, and how it's happening right now. You're salivating about it.
And the fact that it's happening now, like you said, like you normally don't get fights like this early in a guy like Shiraz's career.
It is a great fight at 160 pounds. Could be the show stealer, J-Rod.
Absolutely. Listen, we're going to have much more on this card of the century over in Riyadh on Wednesday's Boxing Scene today. But let's talk about a fight coming up in March as we check the Boxing Scene schedule. March 1st in Brooklyn, it's Gervonta Davis taking on Lamont Roach Jr. for the lightweight championship. And Gervonta, fellas, he has this obsession with not losing. And a great article in Boxing Scenes talking about he doesn't want to become a meme in the fight if he loses. Interesting for Lamont, he's going up in weight. And then for Gervonta Davis, trying to continue the lightweight reign. Fellas, tell me about March 1st in Brooklyn.
One of my questions, guys, when you think about I don't want to lose, that's almost always a negative.
No, but when you talk about it with Gervonta Davis and his choice of opponents, sometimes the jokes write themselves, no? I mean, you're going to ask me about this right now?
I'm starting with you, Paulie.
You guys want to be a meme? Remember the meme they were talking about Jake Paul when they were showing after he beat Tyson that he's going to fight Joe Biden next and he's going to fight like all these old guys next? I mean, Gervonta he's not fighting old guys. But the choice of opponents, he's almost there at that kind of meme where, you know, you got to get him like Bambi and him as the next matchup, or him and I don't know, him and Cinderella as the next matchup. I don't know, bro. You know, and it's not disrespectful to Lamont Roach, who's been a solid world-class fighter for 10 years, perennial contender, but he just won his first world championship after a long time being pro, hasn't solidified himself in the star
in a weight class below.
In a weight class below, exactly. But hasn't solidified himself in the star status. This is basically a regurgitation of what Gervonta Davis did with, was it Alex Garcia? What was the first name?
Jose Luis Garcia.
Yeah, Garcia, the guy a couple years ago. And mind you, who wrote beat for the 130-pound title.
Right.
So you're just regurgitating again. You don't want to get beat because you don't want to be a meme. The guy's a meme already. I mean, we're having the wrong conversation.
What are we talking over here?
It's just he's the different kind of meme. He's not the meme about losing because with the choice of opponents he's facing.
But this idea that you know, usually to get memed or posterized, you get knocked out. Lamont Roach isn't that kind of puncher. He's going to have to outbox Gervonta Davis for 12 rounds. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, but regardless of Lamont Roach and this fight, just going over what he said, what a world we live in where a fighter is worried about social media and what's going to happen if he takes a loss. Also, and him, I don't like the wording of I don't want to lose. How about I want to win so bad I'm not going to lose? You know, it's just that weird mindset, a weird way to kind of put that. But also the way Gervonta deals with media these days, he just kind of says whatever. So I don't know how much you should really look into it. But in terms of this fight in Lamont Roach is an excellent boxer. Definitely has more respectable power than he's given credit for. But to your point, Jimmy, yeah, it's at 130. He's coming up in weight. Although he does look bigger when you put him next to each other. If you see him in the press conferences, Lamont looks like the bigger guy. But it doesn't really matter. One guy's a puncher. Lamont ain't it.
No. It's the boxer versus the puncher. That's what we're looking forward to. Could go that way, but I don't like the negativity of I don't want to get memed. That's our thought, J-Rod.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just to put a bow on this Gervonta Davis conversation, the new champ at lightweight, Keyshawn Davis, went on a show, and on boxingscene.com you can read the article where he asks a very simple question. Does Tank have the balls to fight me? That's what Keyshawn's asking. Fellas, I ask you, does Tank have the testicular fortitude to get in the ring with Keyshawn?
Not start with Paulie. What do you think?
I would like to think that he's not going to have a choice soon. The way Davis is putting this out there, also the momentum that Davis has, the way that he's performing. Listen, this guy makes press conferences entertaining. He makes weigh-ins entertaining. He makes fights entertaining. He gets knockouts. Keyshawn's doing it all right now. And he's in the media the next day, the next week, for weeks leading up to and after the fights, talking about his next opponents, trying to goad these guys into fights, which I love that young brashness. These guys don't want to fight me? Man, I'm gonna drag them through the media so they have to fight me. I'm questioning your manhood. You have the balls to fight me? Them's fighting words.
The balls on this guy, right? The balls. Do you think he can drag him into this fight?
No, I don't think Gervonta Davis will fight Keyshawn Davis. I think he'll let Baranchyk get like a year or two older, and then maybe he'll want to fight Baranchyk. That's about the way we're
no love lost.
That's about the levels we're reaching with this guy's opponent choices. Not even Baranchyk. Even Barancyk's too dangerous right now. A year from now, he'll fight Baranchyk.
The ball check, J-Rod. Paulie says no way.
Bulls. Clearly. Well, you guys have plenty of them. Enjoying yourself out there in Northern California. And a reminder, one of our big sponsors here, ProBox TV, will have Wednesday night fights It's going to be a great one in the Chicken Ranch Casino. It's going to be Gabe Flores Jr. against Jose Arellano. That's Wednesday, February 19th. ProBox TV. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. Hope you guys will be watching that on the app. It's the best place to enjoy ProBox TV fights.
By the
sound,
way,
the video, everything.
J-Rod,
Yes?
I don't want to cut you off. I wasn't kidding. If Baranche gets a win or two, Davis will fight him. You think I'm kidding? Think I'm joking?
When Gervonta Davis comes here, shows up looking for Paulie, I'm just gonna send him to Paulie's room.
Listen,
Boxing Scene.
I don't hate the player. I hate the game.
Hate the game.
I don't hate the player. Let him make his money. But you know what? I hate that the game allows this.
He hates that the game allows it, but we keep covering it here on ProBox TV. That's right, Boxing Scene, all your boxing news. Download the ProBox TV app. Never fall behind, and we'll see you next time. For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.